Hello and welcome to Faithfully Stampin' with Jennifer Helm. I am Jennifer Helm, the Faithful Stamper, an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. I have today for you a fun stamping technique. I'm calling this a stamping 4-in-1 card because you're going to stamp one piece of paper and then turn it into 4 cards. So I'm going to turn these a little bit sideways so you can see the general idea, but we are going to take one panel of basic white, stamp it crossways, cut it, and then create 4 card bases with it. There's a lot of different varieties to this card you can make, and we'll talk about them more as we get started. So very few supplies required for this. Mostly card bases and card panels, those 5 1/4 by 4 panels. We're going to start with a panel of basic white that is just cut down a little bit, 10 inches by 7.5 inches. You could also use very vanilla, or you could probably use a light colored cardstock. You wouldn't want to go too dark because that would just really kind of swallow up your design. So something light colored will work the best. The first thing we're going to do is grab a ruler and a pencil and do a little bit of marking. Now, if you can do this technique, totally eyeballing, more power to you. I am not that talented. I need some guidelines. So I'm gonna measure on the 10-inch side, just put a mark at 5, and turn my paper here. Very light pencil lines are all you need. These are just really basic guidelines so you know where those center points of your panel, of your paper are. 3 3/4 is your other measurement on that 7.5 inch side. Actually, I think I did that just a little bit off. Close enough, but it'll be skewed a little when I cut it. So let me fix that. That one's better. And so then I'm just gonna connect my line the other direction. Again, very light pencil line. And then we're gonna go ahead and get started with our stamping, but you can see how I've created 4 quadrants to my paper. And what we're gonna do is we're basically gonna stamp on either sides of these lines to create an interesting design, and then we'll cut these 4 panels apart to create our cards. Now you probably will want a large piece of paper. If you've got any like 11, what is this, 11 by 17, this probably works the best, but you can also use like an 8.5 by 11. You just might have to shift it around a little bit on your paper because you might be stamping off and I don't want you to ruin your work surface. So you will need a stamp set that has multiple images like flowers, leaves, foliage, that kind of thing. That's probably what works best. If you can find another stamp set that works, go for it. Work with anything that you feel will work for you. So I like the Forever Fern set. This isn't a brand new set. It's been around for a little while, but it's one that I keep coming back to, especially for floral images. And this one has a lot, so I'm going to use all the floral images, and I'm going to teach you a little trick to use your speckle or sploosh, whatever you want to call that, later on so that you can maybe fix mistakes and things like that. So you'll probably need a bunch of different ink colors. I've got 7 different ink colors that I'm working with tonight. So the longest thing it's going to take me to do with this whole process is work on stamping. And the neat thing about this is every time I stamp a piece of paper like this, it's going to look different. I'm just not going to be able to do it the same way twice. So I'm going to start with some soft succulent ink. I kind of went mostly with blues and purples, a little bit of green for some depth and variety. And I usually start in the middle. So I'm just going to take this leaf stamp and stamp it. Sorry, I think I just caused a little earthquake there. Bump in the camera. I'm going to stamp in the corner of all 4 of these. And then I'm going to start filling in elsewhere. But the great thing is I can come back with my leaves. If I feel like there's more green that needs to go on, I can just add it. Now, you can keep this as symmetrical as you want. I tend to try to do the same thing or stamp once in each of the 4 quadrants and then kind of fill in, but you can work this out in whatever manner you want to. So it does not have to be symmetrical by any means. It's all in how you want to work it and how much color you want. So Sometimes it's easiest to stamp off the paper, and I keep forgetting this, but it would probably be a little easier if you don't ink up the stems on all of them. If you've got something like this with a long stem, if you don't want it all showing, and you can definitely trim things down when you're finished, but if you can hold your stem off the ink pad, I keep forgetting to do that, but that would work for you as well. So you don't have to hide those stems quite as much. Hopefully I'm making sense and you're understanding the point I'm trying to make. All right, so I think, let's see, I'll add a little bit of blue out here on my edges. You can probably see here why I need my scrap paper. All right, let's see, now let's add some purple. I've got a couple different shades of purple here, and I think I'm gonna try to follow my own advice here and leave, this one has a really long stem. So I'm just gonna try when I ink it up to not ink up the whole thing. Usually I'm good to remember that about once and then I forget the rest. Yep, see, I forgot to do it right there. But this is fun because you can add lots of different colors and designs. And you can see I'm just going to kind of start stamping all over the place here. This is Highland Heather that I'm working with now. And the great part is if you finish stamping and think, oh, that looks a little funny, oh, I've got a big bare spot, guess what? Grab your stamps again and keep on stamping until you are happy with how your panel looks. And like I said, these are going to come out different every single time you stamp one of these panels. Let's see. All right. Definitely have some fill-in work to do here. I think I'm going to come back with that leaf I originally started with and add some more green in here on these two panels. Let's see. Like I said, sometimes just figuring out placement on your stamps is the hardest thing you'll do. So I like that, and then I'm going to come back. I've got some darker green leaves here. This is shaded spruce that I'm using. And I'm just going to fill in with some of these until I am happy with how the panel looks. I've got actually two angles of this particular stamp, so I'm going to use both of them to fill in my design. See, I'm telling you, the hardest thing will be trying to figure out how you want to place everything. All right, I think I'm happy with that. So I'm going to move some of this ink out of my way. Now, a little trick I love splatter and sploosh stamps, little speckles like this, because if you've got areas that are looking a little bare, but you're not sure, oh, I don't know if I want to stack more leaves or flowers on top of them, grab a speckle and fill in with that. You can stamp off, so you get a little less color. You can do that as many times as you want. You can even create it all over the panel if you want. Up to you. But it gives it a little more depth. I'm looking with my pencil line. I think I might be a little shy with my color there, but I think it'll be okay. Really, short of dropping a stamp on here somewhere out in my big white space, you really can't mess it up because you can come back with more of your colors or more of your images and give it another little stamp. I think I'm going to actually hit this one right there. Just give it a little more color. Woo! And try to throw my stamps across the table. All right. So I think I'm going to call that good for now. I can always revisit with any of my other stamps or my speckles to add to it if I think I need to. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my scrap paper out of the way. I have this panel. I'm going to grab my paper trimmer. And so on that long side, I need to cut it right down the middle at 5 inches. And then the other panels, the other direction, 3 3/4. Now, if you take a look and you realize, you know, I got a little off with my pencil mark, just grab an eraser and really lightly go ahead and erase those pencil lines. I actually have found that in most cases, this is probably the first card where I've been a little off with my pencil lines, but I have not had to erase any of them. I've cut right on the line or close enough that it's really, you can't tell. So let's see here. So here, it's almost like putting the puzzle back together. You can see that beautiful panel and how that all came together. So now what you need to do is grab some cardstock and some cardstock for card bases. And that can be any format of card bases you want. I have some Blackberry Bliss here that I'm gonna fold in half really quickly. And then for your next panel, you want something that's 5 1/4 by 4. So I've got some that are Highland Heather, which is one of the purples I used. And then for others, I decided to mix it up and I brought some Balmy Blue. So I can decide which ones I like and if I think I need all blue or all purple, or if I want to mix and match. So let's see. Oh, I think I actually like this one better on the blue. And the other thing you can do before you glue them down is take a look at this panel and say, which angle do I like it at? Do I like it this way? What if I turn it this way? Oh, what if I keep turning it? And so keep turning it until you're happy and say, okay, I want it to go on the card this way. So I think this one I like vertically. And then this one here, yep, I think it's definitely gonna go on purple. And let's see how these last two shape up. This one, let's see here. See, this is the fun. It's like, I think I like that on purple, and I think that one I'm gonna have the flowers be at the top. All right, so we got one last one here. Let's see what that's gonna look like. Sometimes they very obviously lend themselves to a certain direction, and sometimes you have to keep turning it until you're happy. I think I'm gonna go with that one. Let's see, do I like it on blue better? No, I like that one on purple. So this one's gonna be 3 purple and 1 blue. I did a set earlier where it's all purple, and then I did another set with 2 and 2. So you've definitely got a lot of creative options with this card. Now, before I start gluing, I've obviously got this white space here. And I have a couple of options to fill the spot. Definitely a sentiment stamped right here on the panel is the first one. So that's what I'm gonna do with these cards. And in my samples, in just a little bit, I will show you how, some other options that you have for coming back and filling that space. So for now, I'm gonna grab, sorry, I keep bumping the table tonight. My stamp, this wording is actually from the same stamp set that Forever Fern. I could mix and match my greetings. These are all going to be thanking of you cards that have a thinking of you message on the inside, but I could very easily do sympathy cards with these, birthday, thinking of you, really anything. All right, so one more to go here. I could glue these all together and then come back with a sentiment later if I wanted. All right. So now I just have to glue these together. So bear with me for a minute while I do that. I'm gonna try not to be a tape fiend tonight. We'll see how my tape cooperates. I'm not going to bore you to death and do the insides of these cards right now, but it will be very simple to do so. I would just take a 5 1/4 panel, 5 1/4 by 4 panel of basic white. I would stamp my inside sentiment in the matching color here, and I would grab one of these stamped images from the front, say the purple flower, and stamp that on the corners to give a little accent. I would probably also repeat those on the envelopes, and then ready to go. And that's what's great is you've got one panel of the basic white or very vanilla for All right, my glue's starting to lose it here. So you've got one panel of basic white or very vanilla for your front. You can use another sheet of light colored cardstock for the inside sentiments on your cards, 2 sheets for your card bases, and then 1 to 2 sheets for the mats for your card. That's all the supplies you need. There's no fancy folding. It's just basic cutting and stamping. And sometimes it's fun just to stamp and not have multitudes of folding or fussy cutting to do with cards. All right, so last one here. I'm using, you can use whatever adhesive you want to on these cards. I'm using my Stamp and Seal tonight, but I could use my Stamp and Seal Plus. I could use liquid glue. It would need a little bit longer to dry. But anything you like goes. All right. Actually, this one I'm going to flip over before I glue it down. All right. So now, if you're happy with this, you can just leave your cards as they are right now. Do the insides, do the envelopes, and done. I'm going to add just a little bit of bling. You can mix and match your bling, too, to create different card looks. So for tonight, I have iridescent rhinestones and rhinestone basic jewels. So let's see what I want to add here. And sometimes I look at these cards and I think, you know what? I don't need bling. So it's really up to you what you see and what you want to add to your cards. So I just put a rhinestone there because I missed a spot somehow when I stamped, but I just slapped that rhinestone down on there and now you can't hardly tell. So I'm the only one that's going to know it's there. Great way to hide a little mistake. Let's see. I think these two I'm just going to leave plain. And this one I will add some regular rhinestones to. And I've got different sizes to work with here, so that's always fun. But like I said, you can add bling or not add bling. You could add bows if it suits your design. I think I'm going to call that good. So in very little time, I've got 4 different cards ready to go. All I need to do is those insides and envelopes. So lots of fun, lots of great options. I have some more samples to show you. Different color options, different stamp sets work great as well. So here is another set that I made. Different stamp set, different colors. These are also going to be thinking of you cards. Obviously, I have a big need for those right now. Whoop. Let me slide these up a little so you can see them all together. I was going to try to put the puzzle together, but you don't really care, right? So you just want to see the cards. So here's another fun one. And here I just accented the inside with one of those stamps, and I put that on my envelope as well. This is great for any season. And these, I really kept bare bones. These were actually the first cards that I made with this set. So, excuse me. I have, I created a sympathy card, a thinking of you card. Excuse me, I just got a tickle. Oh. And 2 Thanksgiving cards. My apologies. I did not put hardly any bling on these. I just added a little bit to cover the tag hole in these. These are actually tags that Stampin' Up! Sells. And you get a pack of, I think it's 25 leaves and 25 amber gems. So it's just a fun little thing for fall. But here we go. You can see that card. I didn't add any bling, kept them really bare bones and simple. So lots of options, as I said. And of course, we're just about in November now if you're watching this video after I post it. But Christmas is coming, as everyone likes to count down. So these are great for Christmas cards as well. Here I added a candy cane to some other foliage, pine cones and leaves. So I thought that was a fun mix and match idea. And I mentioned that you don't have to do your stamping right on the front panel. You can if you like. Sometimes it suits your card better, but sometimes you might look at your design and say, oh man, I don't know where those words are gonna fit, I'm not sure. Add a banner, add a punch. You've got variety depending on how your design works out, and if you really want to put your sentiment on it right away, or if you might want to save it for another occasion to send the card down the road. So there you go. Lots and lots of creative options for you just by taking one panel and stamping it and creating some really fun, really pretty cards. So I hope you enjoyed learning the Stampin' 4-in-1 technique. If you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you click the notification bell, you will be notified each time I post a new video here on the page. And if you are a fan on Facebook, you can find me as The Faithful Stamper over there. And you can also check out the website if you're interested in Stampin' Up! Products or projects. We have different specials from time to time, and you can always check out all the information there. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and happy crafting.